Welcome into Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. It is time to give out our final grades for the 2022 draft for your Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens certainly made a lot of noise in this draft with some of their selections, as well as the Marquise Brown trade. More on that in just a moment. But here are the picks as they are for the Ravens. It started off with Kyle Hamilton, the number 14 pick, the safety out of Notre Dame. Another first-round pick, including Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa at 25. You go to the second round, and that is where the Ravens found themselves quite the edge rusher in David Ojabo, who was, by many accounts, a first-round lock before the college football playoff when he suffered the injury, but a very good find there for the Ravens in the second round. In the third round, Travis Jones, the defensive lineman from Uconn, gets picked up by Baltimore. And that defense, you can see the Ravens made some really good moves to shore up that defense and continue what has been the calling card of this franchise since the beginning of the franchise moving to Baltimore many, many years ago. You go to the next picks for the Ravens, and it continued to be a strong one as Daniel Faalele, the offensive tackle from Minnesota, was picked up in the fourth round. And that was followed up in the fourth round by Jalyn Armour-Davis, a cornerback from Alabama. Charlie Kolar, the tight end from Iowa State, a terrific player there at Iowa State, the go-to target of Brock Purdy, who ended up being the Mr. Irrelevant in this year's draft. He goes in the fourth round. And then the Ravens rounded out the fourth round after 4 straight picks with Jordan Stout. And I actually take that back. There was still 2 more fourth-round picks, believe it or not, for the Ravens, as Isaiah Likely, the tight end from Coastal Carolina, was picked up, and Damarian Williams, the cornerback from Houston. And they rounded things out in the 6th round with Tyler Beatty, the running back from Missouri. So all in all for the Ravens, they added 11 players in this draft. A lot of draft picks for the Ravens. This roster going to look a lot different in 2022. Now, what do you guys think? Here's your chance to grade the draft for the Baltimore Ravens. I will give you my grade here in just a moment, but I want to hear from you guys first. You're going to get an ad break here in just a second. Take advantage of that ad break and get your comments in while the ad's playing. Tell us how you think the Ravens did in the comments section below in their 2022 draft. For me, I give the Ravens a B+. The talent, you can't argue about. The Ravens scouting department did a terrific job getting guys like Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, David Ojabo. It was terrific what they did with these picks of the talent-wise, but it's the needs that have me concerned with this team. You trade off Hollywood Brown, and you didn't really replace him in this draft. And then the running back position, I know that J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards and those guys are coming back and all, but wasn't the biggest issue with this Ravens team last year how all their running backs kept getting hurt and hurt and hurt? And you waited till the 6th round to go with Tyler Beatty there. I probably would have, drafted a running back a little bit higher if I was Baltimore personally. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and break down these picks for you. Kyle Hamilton. Tom Downey had him as the number 1 player in this year's draft. I'm not just talking about the safety position. Number 1 player overall in 2022. Here's the breakdown on Hamilton. Has a special blend of size and speed, a baller with instincts for days. Plays aggressive style, leads to some missed tackles and blown coverages. Hamilton, a terrific player. when you look at a guy being the number 1 overall player and you get him at 14, man, you're pouring one out and you're giving everybody shots around the room and such. That's a celebration right there in its own right. Then there's Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. The comparison that I have made for Tyler Linderbaum is Creed Humphrey, the starting center for the Kansas City Chiefs, who was an all-pro rookie. And everybody last year at the draft passed on him in the first round and ended up going the second round. If they did the draft over again, he would have easily been a first-round pick. Linderbaum, I think, is almost identical to Humphrey. And I think that the Ravens are going to be very happy from the jump to have Linderbaum handing it off under center, getting those snaps to Lamar Jackson and protecting him for a very long time. Only allowed 1 sack in 14 games last year. A terrific player at 6'2", just under 300 pounds, and he is going to be a lot of fun for the Ravens for a long time, protecting Lamar Jackson as well as protecting those running backs with all those injuries that they suffered last year. More on the draft picks in just a moment, but we want to build on the success of Ravens Rundown, and we want to make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel. YouTube.com/RavensTV, trying to get to 5,000 followers. I don't see why we can't do that by tomorrow. Why not? Let's go ahead and get you to subscribe to Ravens Rundown if you're not already. If you're already subscribed, tell a friend or 2 or 50 that they need to be subscribed to the Ravens Rundown. YouTube.com/RavensTV. Hit that red sub button below. David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan, ranked as the number 8 edge according to Tom and the number 46 player overall. All the physical traits you could ever want or need in a dominant edge rusher. Quick learner, 2-time academic All-American. Folks, that means he's smart. He's coming off a torn Achilles suffered at his pro day. And so with David here, you're looking at a guy that it's going to be a while before he can be active on the football field again. But that is a risk worth taking, I think, in this case because of how talented this guy is and how much he's proven it over his time at Michigan. That's fine for me that he's not going to be ready day one. Take your time, and what do they say? Good things come to those who wait. I think John Harbaugh and company are going to be pretty excited what they're getting in David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan. Travis Jones from Uconn. This guy's a hog molly, folks. He's at 325 pounds, 6'4", 48 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 7.5 tackles for loss. And a little news flash for you. Uconn was terrible at football last year. That's a basketball school. They make Kansas football look good, folks. And Travis Jones was just getting double-teamed all year long and still was able to be very productive. He's not going to face those double teams like he did in college. He'll get freed up a bit, and he'll be a nice find for the Ravens there. So those are the first 4 picks for the Baltimore Ravens. What was your favorite pick for Baltimore? For me, I like Kyle Hamilton and I like Tyler Linderbaum. Both those guys I thought were really good finds for the Ravens there. They did a good job. It's hard for me to pick between the two. I think probably I'd lean towards Hamilton because of the value of Hamilton there at 14. Linderbaum was a guy that we thought could go early 20s, maybe into the second round, but nonetheless, I like both those picks. What do you guys think? What's your favorite Ravens pick? Let us know in the comments section who your favorite Raven is from the 2022 draft. A couple other names to go through here. Daniel Faalele, the offensive tackle from Minnesota, gets picked up, and he drops some lbs, down 25 pounds, not eating as much pizza, and he only had 1 pressure allowed in the final 8 games last year. He's a bit raw, needs technique and feel to grow, but I think that you give him the time that he could be a nice find for this Ravens offensive line there. The cornerback selection of Jalyn Armour-Davis. He had 3 interceptions last year for the Crimson Tide. Good size, just under 6'1", 197 pounds, and 4 pass breakups. You would think that he's going to get some playing time probably pretty quickly within the nickel of that Ravens defense. And then there's another guy that I like for the Ravens here. That's Charlie Kolar. And Kolar, for me, was somebody that had potential at times where he looked like the best tight end in the country, but there was inconsistencies there. And you already have Mark Andrews at 1 tight end spot. Now you got Kolar, and essentially here is what the Ravens offense is going to look like going forward. It is going to be a short passing game and a run-first offense. And they are going to run it with Lamar, Gus Edwards, all those guys, and just dink and dump all day and use those tight ends, Kolar and Mark Andrews, effectively. And I think that Kolar is actually very similar to Mark Andrews. I like pairing these two up together. You're getting 2 for 1 essentially with those guys at the tight end. Kolar, a nice find there for the Baltimore Ravens. Who was the worst draft pick for the Ravens? Here's your chance to tell us who you guys think was the worst pick for Baltimore in the comment section below as we go through these 11 picks. A lot of players to choose from. Let us know who you think the Ravens messed up on in this draft. Let's keep going through these. Another tight end for the Ravens, Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina. 12 touchdowns, 900 yards. And that offense there that Coastal Carolina runs is a run-first RPO system there. So it'll be interesting to see how he does with the Ravens. Pretty similar there. And still put up a lot of numbers for an offense that didn't like to throw the football a whole lot. So good stuff there from Likely. Jordan Stout, the punter from Penn State. A lot of people thought he was the best punter in this draft. You already have Justin Tucker. Now you might as well add in a really good punter on that end, although the fourth round kind of high as far as that goes for a special teams player. Demarion Williams, the cornerback from Houston, just 1 interception last year, although he did have 63 tackles in 9 pass breakups. And then a few more here for you on the Ravens. Tyler Beatty, actually this is the last one here for you that we'll get to. Tyler Beatty, the running back out of Missouri, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, one of the best running backs in the SEC this past year, but a bit undersized at 5'8" and 197 pounds. Now, this draft for the Ravens, it kind of gets a little overshadowed by the Marquise Brown trade, right? As good as the selections were, the Ravens still did not replace Marquise Brown. They got the trade done, and they decided not to pay Marquise Brown when it was all said and done, but they didn't necessarily find his replacement. I really like these players that the Ravens found, but when it comes to what have we talked about a lot through these draft videos that you've seen from Chase and Tom and Mitch and everybody is that you have to not just find great players, but also your needs need to be taken care of. And the Ravens didn't take care of the need at wide receiver, quite frankly. You know, I like Tylan Wallace. I like some of these guys that they have, but I think you needed to at least find one guy, and you didn't get one guy at wide receiver to pair up and replace Marquise Brown. So, what do you make of the Marquise Brown trade? Now, the haul that the Ravens brought in for him, all things considered, when you looked at the other trades that were made for receivers, not bad. Let's show you that right here. They were able to get a first-round pick, and they got a third-round pick in return, but still didn't draft a receiver. Do you guys like that trade for Marquise Brown? Let us know in the comments section. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you liked the trade involving Marquise Brown or not. He's going to be missed. I love the name Hollywood. That's my favorite nickname in the National Football League, but, you know, it's a business, as they say. Thanks for joining us here on Ravens Rundown for this wrap-up of the 2022 NFL Draft.